Broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Welcome to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studio inside Maxix Workspace and the Conscious Capitalism Arizona headquarters in Tempe, Arizona, where we help build businesses and connect you with the right people. I'm your host and Phoenix Business Radio studio ambassador, Kendra Maples. The two individuals that we have in the room today, it took a moment to get them to quiet down to get started. They are very excited to be here. We just realized that they are both my Puerto Rican New Yorkers. So this should be fun and entertaining. We have two amazing people. We have Giselle Aguiar, digital marketing consultant with AZ Social Media Wiz. And we have Terrace Figueroa, chief revenue officer for ChatDrive. How are you guys today?
Fantastic.
Doing great.
I'm so excited to have you both here. So we have plenty of time to have this conversation, although judging off the last 10 minutes, I don't know if we'll have enough time for the two
of you. We were kind of going there.
I love it.
It was good.
I love it.
Really
but
nice.
To get started, I want our listeners to know a little bit about you. So Giselle, I'm going to start with you. I want you to tell us a little bit about you, your company, your background, and your role with supporting companies right now through marketing endeavors.
Okay.
And branding.
Well, I was born in Puerto Rico and raised in New York. And after college, moved back to Puerto Rico. Then I moved to Miami. And at some point, I decided that I didn't want to work in retailing anymore. That's where I wanted to figure out how to get the people into the store. I didn't want to stand in the store waiting for the people to come in. So that's what really got me started with marketing and advertising. So I've worked in advertising and marketing in one form or another. And then when the internet came out, I was doing graphic design at the time. And I said, I could do that. So I taught myself HTML, which is the coding for websites. So in 1995, I started my own business in Miami. It was called Creative Eye Marketing. That's what started me with doing websites and figuring out. So I started doing websites even before Yahoo was in existence, before Google was in existence, and before Amazon was in existence. But I saw the potential that it was going to change the hospitality industry, the real estate industry. And at that point, I didn't even realize that it was going to change the retailing industry because look at what Amazon has done. Mm-hmm. So it's amazing what the internet itself has done since the late 90s. So I've done internet marketing in one form or another. In 2011, I had the opportunity to give a talk on Twitter and blogging for a group of local Phoenix area writers. So these are mostly people over 40. And I had 45 minutes. So I stuck in Twitter and blogging in 45 minutes, trying to explain it to these people who were totally not techie whatsoever. And I was looking at a room of deer in the headlights. And so I'm like, oh boy. So I had to figure out the best way to teach these people what social media is, where it's going, and why they need to be on it and understand how it works. But I had to do it in a way that made sense for them. You know, so and so that's why I started my company, because I realized that the small business owner was clueless about this new thing, and so they thought that just posting on Facebook would get them business, but their target market might not even be on Facebook. You know, so so that was how I started. So I started basically learning with webinars and, how to do it, how to blog, what's the best blogging platform, and then I started doing websites again for people until it got too complicated. I'm a creative person. I'm not developer. So as soon as they start getting really complicated, I have to pass it on to a more techie person. But I'm very good at being creative and thinking of ways for people to market for strategies. So that's why I call myself a digital marketing strategist.
Okay.
To put everything together.
I love that. And so how long have you been doing AZ Social Media with?
Since November 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And when you are in touch with potential clients, what are some of the conversations that you have with them to help them realize what these platforms
Well, the first question I ask them is who is their target market? Who are they trying to reach? Some businesses are B2B, business to business. Some are business to consumer, B2C, and some are a little bit of both. And so try to find out what the percentage is if they're both. Based on that, my next question is, what makes you different than everybody else is doing what you're doing? Or do you have somebody else that's doing what you do? Do you have any competition? So that's the next question. Because in today's marketing, it's basically where you come up on Google that makes the difference. So if you're competing against some big guys, you're going to have a problem getting on that first page of Google unless you do some paid advertising. And so certain industries, certain companies have to do that just because of the highly competitive industry that they're in.
Is that something that they have to do continuously, or maybe just in the beginning to get started?
Continuously.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have a client who opened up a rage room here in Tempe.
What is that?
School.
Yeah,
It is a place where
That's interesting. It's kind of scared me a little
it's
bit.
really cool. He was the first one in Arizona. So it's a place, it's a room. So he has rooms about the size of this room here.
Okay.
Where people can go in and break stuff and release tension and stress and
so not
frustration.
in my
Sounds
house.
like my backyard.
Yeah, instead of going and chopping down a tree, you go in and break stuff. So, so in the beginning, he tells me like, okay, who's your target market? Well, anybody who has stress. And I'm like, oh boy. So
Gotta narrow it down.
Yeah.
We all do.
Help me out here,
the
buddy.
thing is this, today's social marketing, you talk to different people differently. Like you talk to people under 40 differently than you talk to people over 40.
Yeah.
And the networks are different. So he wants to reach college students. Okay, well then you have to be on Snapchat and Instagram and videos. Oh, you want to reach for corporate team building. Okay, well then you got to be on LinkedIn, and I want to reach, professors and moms, and okay, well then that's Pinterest and Instagram, so it's like, we had an excellent grand opening. And the thing is, because he was so unique, I knew I was able to get him free publicity. So I had all of the morning news people with the radio station from the TV stations in there breaking stuff. And
Love it.
the idea was that
great.
because people were not going to remember the name was Simply Smashing Rage Room. They were going to remember Rage Room Phoenix.
Yeah,
or
right.
Rage Room
Google
Tempe
break
or
stuff.
Argue
That's
Room.
right.
Exactly.
That's what I would do.
So my goal
Where do I go
was
to
to
break stuff?
create content to get them to come up on the first page of Google.
Gotcha.
So, and then I told him, as soon as somebody checks in, tell them to check in on Facebook. And so that is the individual checking in on Facebook. So they're going to get more reach. So even now the Facebook changed their algorithm, which they're giving more visibility to individual users rather than business pages. They still managed, because of my advice, to keep their Facebook likes increasing constantly because of that. So people would take pictures of themselves
That's
and
taking place
videos
in
of
the
themselves
SEO, the
with their
content,
phones in their place breaking stuff. And it's really cool when you hear my favorite one was a fish tank with a baseball bat. And just the sound of that crashing. And it was so, so
I wrote it down.
Yeah.
It's pretty shocking. Yeah. That get my attention.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot of fun.
All I'm thinking is who's cleaning this up.
Yeah, I know. But
How fun.
he has a competitor now.
Ooh, in
Of course
Arizona.
it is.
Two of them, one in Tucson, one in Chandler.
Okay.
And so when I told him, Steve, you can't become complacent now.
Yeah.
He was running on the
Now's the time to push.
And so you cannot get complacent. You have to keep those videos going, and that's going to be it. And we added Instagram. A year ago, he was hiring a manager, and so he hired me to train them to do the social media. I asked him, can I get into your stuff? And I want to pull up all of your statistics. So for whatever reason, he was only doing Facebook, which was fine, and it was working, and it was bringing people in. But he still had empty slots that during the week, especially. And I noticed that he got in the month of January, he got 96 people from Instagram, but he wasn't even posting stuff on Instagram, just from our setting up and putting the hashtags in there. And so I go, dude, if you start posting the videos on Instagram, and they're short videos, they're just little gifs of somebody breaking something, and it just repeats. and you're going to increase Instagram, and you're going to tell people when they come in, look, I'll use your phone, take your picture of your breaking stuff. You tag me on Instagram, I'll give you some more stuff to break.
Yeah. Well, and especially with something of that sort,
Exactly.
That's what people want to post. If I go smash a porcelain toilet on the weekend for anger management, I'm going to post that on my Instagram. I'm going to say, this is my self-care day. and I'm going to post me smashing some porcelain, objects.
It's cool.
Exactly.
Like blowing stuff up too.
It's different,
cool.
and it's different.
Yeah.
And so
he honestly has it easy with that platform, right? Because that's what people want to show.
But he cannot afford to become complacent.
Yeah.
So now we've been talking about him expanding, and I told him, you should franchise this. Just put the business plan together and just sell it. That kind of thing. So I need to follow up with him because that was one of the things we were thinking. And I told him he should go up to Flagstaff and get next to the university.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. How long have you been working with him on this to see him grow?
Let's see. He'll be, when did we start? 2 years ago?
Okay.
So it would have been a 2-year anniversary last November. So yeah.
Feel like I will be there this weekend.
Yeah, you got my curiosity up. I want to see this.
That's going to be our follow-up meeting from the show. I love that. Well, I want to tap into more and hear more about what you've been doing. You just sent me over the information about your book. So I do want to hear about that, but I want to switch gears just for a second. Terrace, I want to hop over to you. I want to hear about you, what you've been doing. You've come a long way from being in the Air Force, correct?
Yeah.
And then, the role that you have now. So I want to hear a little bit about you because then it's going to mix. The conversation's going to mesh a little bit.
I can't follow that.
Yes,
that was
you can.
exciting.
Yes, you can.
I'm like riveted, breaking stuff.
What did you tell me earlier? You're got to Figueroa it out?
Yeah, I'm going to Figueroa it out right now.
From your last name? I love it.
Somebody say that to me years ago. And it was just too funny when it happened. So I said, I'm going to use that.
I love it.
It's been working pretty well.
So tell us about you. Tell us about ChatDrive. Tell us about your role there.
Well, as you had mentioned, I spent 6 years in the Air Force. And after getting done with that, I got into the business world. And from there, just basically did a whole lot of different projects and got pulled into a pilot program. And after being pulled into a pilot program, I realized the most riveting thing for me to wake up to was something that was not right. It was not good. It was not tight. It wasn't refined and finished. And I liked waking up and just getting creative. Like she was saying, she's very creative. I can relate to that because I would walk in and there'd be almost nothing going on and I'd have to figure out what to do. And kind of finding my own way was a lot of fun, like an autodidact. Right? You just start self-studying, self-taught, and you figure things out. And hence figuring it out, right? I've been with ChatDrive for 5 years, done a lot of interesting stuff leading up to it. But in the education space, I spent 9 years in the education space. And that was really, really exciting because for the first time after working on moving companies and doing things inside and doing turnaround sort of things, and fixing divisions, I'd come to a place where no matter what I did, I was helping somebody. And I enjoyed that so much because you literally are changing lives. Like right now, it's getting used so much, right? It's a little much. It's being used so much, but it really, really does ring true. When it comes to education, you're changing lives. So from that and being in education, got into ChatDrive. The CEO and I met back then, 15 years ago. Long time ago. And I've kept in touch ever since, built this company. With ChatDrive, should I tell you like what we do in that sort of thing?
I want to hear about it all. Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so what we do is we will really collaborate with our partner. We consider them partners, not necessarily customers, because we really do get that close. We're not sitting on thousands and thousands of clients like a lot of people are doing with a software play. So I was talking with Giselle before we came in here, right, Giselle? And you're asking me these questions about what we do. And it was always like software, and then people. So they're using software and augmenting with people. We're doing the reverse. And this is what has given us the traction and the depth and the breadth to really partner with our clients rather than just be a part of them and be a vendor.
Yeah.
Is that we are doing the opposite. We have people augmenting with software. Because, I mean, it comes down to people at the end of the day. I mean, there's all kinds of, leaders in the industry, big names. I won't go into all those names, but the one I trust and take information from is Harvard. And Harvard did a research and really looked into this and found that 51% of people, the most important thing to them was that a person was on the other end.
Right.
This is really high powered. I mean, there's even more to that. And I will go through a little bit of it.
But the people piece is true. I can't tell you how many times with my car insurance or my bank, whoever, and I get so mad because I have to click 1 for this, click 3 for this, click 4 for that, and then I end up in the same damn thing.
It comes down to people at the end of the day, because they say we are social creatures. This is what they evaluate. This is what they concluded with, is that we're social creatures, and we really do enjoy that human connection. That's what we do. At ChatDrive, it's not sexy, but it's got teeth. It's very real.
Yeah.
And when our partners experience it, we have an attrition rate that is like less than 4% over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes. We hold on to these folks and we partner with them and we care for them very, very pointedly. We're very involved with them. And so I enjoy that because I'm not getting on the phone and trying to figure something out and worry about where the conversation's going or what's going to happen or if there's a problem. It's always a conversation of, hey, Terrace, we got this challenge over here. This is what's okay. Great. So how do we move forward towards it? And what do you see as the best thing to do? I see it this way. Okay. Let me take a look. Okay. So how about we do this? So it's always a collaborative discussion. It's not one side, other, or that sort of thing. And I mean, that is such a wonderful way to conduct business.
So the way that this platform of ChatDrive works, do you see this being something that, bots and AI and all of that sort of stuff could step into, or no, because the way that you've kind of reversed this?
Well, yeah, that's what they're doing now, is like there's quite a bit of that, and that will work to a degree, but you have to have people right there to be a part of that. And the hard part is too often someone wants to have it multitasked. The person that would tend to it is really doing 3 other tasks, or their core job and focus is on 2 other things that are much more important to the company's production. So we're allowing people to do that. Let us focus. We'll help you focus on your core competency. You can do that. We'll do the heavy lifting over here, and you're going to be in very good hands because we're a phone call away, we're a text away, we're an email away, and we respond very quickly. Within the hour, 2 hours maximum, you will hear and know something very quickly. And so we pride ourselves on that. And the only way to do that is to be very cognizant of responsible growth, not trying to get everybody and be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
But we can be everything to the few people we engage because we don't say no to anything. And we've done a lot of creative things.
I saw that as one of your
it's so much fun. That is the funnest part, right? This is where the real fun begins, is when somebody says, well, we were doing the chat with you and all this, but we're thinking about X, Y, Z. I'm like, we could do that from here. You can? Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. And it just turns into this whole relationship of... So we get pulled into meetings and strategic planning sometimes, and that's where it becomes fun because you can pipe up and really give your ideas and brainstorm with them, and no one will have an agenda as to where it has to go or where it's going to land. Yeah. But we start to actually get into the same plane and we're landing on the same strip, and it's really a lot of fun. That's always the best part of business, right?
Can you give us an example of a type of company that you guys have helped as far as bringing in as a partner and being involved in the strategic planning and how they've used ChatDrive?
There are a number, and I can't get into like real specific, like who.
You don't have to give names,
that if you
but
don't
maybe
mind.
the type
of industry.
The type of industry.
So education is the biggest one.
Okay.
I have a number of situations in the education space where something as simple as analytics, right? So we're becoming can you run your business without data these days?
You can't. You're not supposed to. And that's
you
a
can.
big thing on my
yeah,
end,
you
too.
can. That's right.
Yeah.
If you're just getting in and out, you're going to be done in a few years. Fine.
Right.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
It's not going to help you.
Right.
But this is a very important spot that you wouldn't think chat could help you. And we dive deep because we are systems thinking. We have a continuous improvement model on the inside with our folks. and we make data-driven decisions. We do not decide like, this is cool, this is fun, or we can do that, or let's reach over here and touch that. No. We look at the data and say, this is what we're capable of to be as strong as our core competency, and we help clients do that, right? So my partners will look at something and say, hey, my dashboard looks like this. Can you show me this? And I'm like, yep. Just did it like 20 minutes before I got here.
Yeah.
Like make sure there's another column, right? Now that's going to help her really dive in and get much more granular as to how she's going to push her folks, and literally is making decision on some of her TV marketing with it. So it's like, great, because we're in text, we're in landing pages, we're in website, we're in every and any device, and we're in Facebook and Instagram. We can be in all of these. We can be anywhere and everywhere in a click of a button, and that is very dynamic. So people think of chat like, oh, you go to the website and do chat. No, sure. No. That is not even the beginning of what it can really do. But you have to have people at the helm. See, it always comes back to that. It seems to always come full circle right back to that. Is if you don't have people that are conscientious and dedicated and just doing that and siloed, they can't be dealing with phones and other. These people don't have anything like that. It's just the computer and chat. Yeah. That's it. And they love their lives, and I'm glad that they do. Right? And it's a lot of fun. I mean, it helps build, and what it actually has done for our folks, and these are the people who are very dear and near and dear to me, is that it has created something that I have always envisioned, which is to have and be a part of a company that helps build someone's lifestyle. And so that the company is part of their life, not their life being a part of the it's you understand, you know what I'm trying to say. I can't find the words because it really strikes me very deeply, and I just want to pontificate on it for 10 minutes, but I won't do that. I'm from New York, so I can talk. I can just burn the time.
No, but that says a lot for you being part of this company, because it's, they always say work-life balance, but really you should love the work that you're doing.
Exactly.
And your life outside of work should intertwine. Your family should love what you're doing just as much as you love what you're doing. So that connection there that you love.
We're in a knowledge-based world now.
Right.
We're globally connected.
Right.
There's no reason that you cannot insert that into someone's life. They can work from home, remote, this and that. It's very doable.
Yeah.
Right now, I just heard about, because of the coronavirus, and the whole thing is, Twitter just said, hey, 5,000 people don't come in unless you have to. Right? There's a whole bunch of conventions shutting down. I had a list of them. Sorry, I can't recall them off the top of my head. I couldn't believe it.
It's affecting the cruise industry also.
Massive effects
and the airline industry.
Talked to a friend of mine at LinkedIn. You know what he says? Hey, remember we talked a long time ago? They don't do remote stuff. Well, they're talking about it now. I said, I bet they are.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
They don't want to lose traction.
Absolutely.
Right? It's interesting.
Yeah, it's going to...
I don't mean to get off on a tangent.
No, we have plenty of time for tangents.
Right.
You don't worry. I have a question, though, so I'm going to rephrase my last question a little bit.
Sorry, I skipped over it.
No, you did. You didn't. You answered it. Okay. But now I'm going to rephrase it a little bit. Okay. As far as the customer base that you have, what would be your ideal customer that you would want to take advantage of this platform?
Very similar to what Giselle is doing. They have to be open-minded and open to creative approaches. Okay. If someone is seriously trying to, let's take education for an instance. If they are seriously looking at helping enrollment, we can help that. We convert very high, 30% and more. We do incredible conversions. If they want to do that, that's a great core place to start, but they have to be willing to talk about it, not just ask me, okay, so where does the chat go? And then how much is it? Because we fail on price. We're not going to make it on price. It's not what it is. Believe me, I'll show you ROI that will stymie you. You will seriously, if you sit and listen and look at it, you'll be like, oh my. So this is why we don't lose people.
Yeah.
Because they are literally trying not to talk to us.
Right?
It's like, we don't need to talk to them because they may realize it's well done. We're making a lot of money. So everything's good. I hate to put it out there kind of like that, but I find it kind of funny,
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, you can't let them become complacent, and you can't tell them like you're becoming complacent, because there's so much competition out there in the higher education field. So why should I choose this college over this college? And I want information. And I don't know how many times even when I get on a chat online where either tech support or something, I go, am I talking to a real person here?
Right.
Am I talking to somebody who actually understands the English language?
That's a big part of our continuous improvement. Our people go to school. I mean, our people are educated. They've been through school, but we go through writing classes and things of that sort to really help vocabulary and nail down vocabulary. Like I'll shoot words around that I've seen in a newsletter. I have this one particular newsletter I follow. This gentleman uses a lot of great vocabulary. So I'm a vocabulary maniac. So I'm like, I send that to people. Yeah, I'll use this word. This is good stuff. You know?
Nice.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah,
I hope I answered your question.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so.
Because one of the things, and it's not just colleges and universities, but also technical schools that can benefit. Anything that entity that's trying to reach a college, high school student going out, or somebody that's going in for
it's that initial. You're talking about that initial touch, right? So this is where we are really considered a nurturing strategy. When it comes to strategy, it's nurturing, and you need to do that with your potential clients and your current clients these days. It's not just service anymore. Service is great as a support foundation. However, nurturing is where you separate yourself. I hope you would agree with that, because this is where I live. This is the niche in which I live.
That's right.
If we're not nurturing that conversation, just don't have it.
Yeah.
Just disconnect, man.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to help anybody.
It's
But these people are coming to you and they're troubled. They're feeling behind on something, or they're trying to get somewhere very quickly. And they're usually trying to do it while they have to work 18 hours a day. These folks are going through, you're going to change a life. So better that someone's on the other end paying attention. And when they ask a question, this happens a lot in chat. It's very fun to watch, is a lot of questions just don't get answered. I'm like, wait a minute. Like that question never got answered because it's automated systems and people multitasking on the other end. They're going so fast, which I don't blame them. They have to protect their job before they do all that, self-preservation. And the nurturing doesn't occur. It's a customer support. It's service. But if you're nurturing, you're following those questions, you're answering every single one. And even if you can't, you say, give me a moment, I'm looking something up for you. And then this and this. And people will become very personable in that. And so this dovetails into brand awareness.
Right.
We're internally we advertise and market like a banshee internally, like, hey, you know what they do, right? And what that, and then our folks will literally be bouncing emails or sending emails to us and marketing to the partner. Hey, your website says you have these classes over here, but it's not there anymore. It's offered over here. Oh, let me change that. It's the little nuances. This is a nurturing mindset that occurs in the company and goes towards these potential students that are making that first contact. So, and I think you and I were talking, the hardest part was on the other end with my schools, right? Like these guys, these guys and girls, they're working really hard in enrollment and all that sort of thing. And they got a lot of different tasks. And I have to explain to them, hey, when you have someone like this, remember that's a person that had a conversation. Tell them you talked to whoever it was, Brittany or Michaela, whoever it was that talked to them, and they mentioned you interested in this and that, and just let them go. They'll start talking because they believe they've been heard now, right? They feel very heard and valued, and so they have control. And we want that. It's my education. I want to be in control of the beginning part of it. So
absolutely. Well, in the branding piece that you said, Giselle, in some of your steps of working with small businesses, that's one of your steps, is working on, making sure the website is optimized, but that everything is well branded. And it has to be consistent branding throughout the social media network profile pages.
So it's the same logo and the same, banner in each of the networks. So if they're on LinkedIn, they find it on Facebook, they find it on Twitter, however, whatever they land on, however they find you first, it has to be consistently branded with your website. So your social media profile pages are technically extensions of your website. So they're also out there, your 24/7 salespeople, promoting your company.
So what does that process look like when you're working with a company and maybe you're looking at their Facebook, their Instagram, their website, and maybe the branding is not consistent?
Oh, I was going to ask that question.
Right?
I'm like, what happens when they're all over the place?
How do you say, hey, fix your stuff?
Usually,
your kid's ugly, but I don't want to tell you
exactly.
so. How do you do that?
I'll tell them. I'm like,
because you're a New Yorker.
That's
why.
Because they're asking me, why isn't my marketing working? And I'm like, well, because your logo on Facebook looks like junk, you know.
They're not seeing the same person every time.
And then, and if somebody lands on Facebook or they see that one of their friends liked your page or something and they go check you out, that's going to be their first impression about you. So it's like, having an incomplete social media profile page is like having a sloppy lobby in a business. It's the first impression, So I spoke with a financial planner not too long ago. And I offer people a free 15-minute phone consultation, and I'll look at everything they have. I'll look at their SEO.
Oh, cool.
I'll use a tool to see where they're coming up in Google and how they're doing. And I'll look at all of their social media to see what it is. And usually I say, like, well, I look at this person, they took their an old logo and it was when you take a rectangle and you upload it into Facebook, it's a square logo. It gets cut off.
Oh.
And
that's interesting, right?
And and then another
Teresa, look at
it gets cut off.
My eyes are lit up like what?
It has to be redone into a square, and that's really easy to do. And there's free tools like Canva.com. So you start with a blank white square, and you upload your logo, stick it in the middle of it, And so Twitter's the largest one. They need 400 by 400 pixels, So you make it for that one, and then that will fit all the other ones because everybody has to have a logo on there. The other thing is the banner. I call it the banner ads, called the cover graphic.
Yeah.
Each of the networks has a different size. Why they couldn't all...
Right. Get on the same page, guys.
I know.
Come on.
And so a lot of people try to stretch the Facebook one, which is into a Twitter one, which is longer.
Nothing looks worse.
And they distort the image, So that again, I love the Canva tool. It's free to use. It's canva.com, and they've got all the templates there for all of the graphics.
Oh, so you can just plug it in if it's for Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
Right. And the other thing they need to remember is nowadays, it used to be you had 7 seconds to catch somebody's attention online. It's now down to 2.
Oh, I believe it.
Oh my! So 1,000, 2 gone.
Right?
That's
Boom.
it.
Done.
That's it.
That makes sense.
So that's why
we
branding,
fight that battle
imaging,
with chat too. That's another big one.
Your imaging has to tell you instantly what it is that you do. I think one of the industries that I always find that just totally, 2 of them actually. One of them is the financial planners. For whatever reason, anybody that's a financial planner or CPA in Arizona has a picture of the Grand Canyon or the
Tempe Bridge.
The Tempe Bridge is one of them. Another one is the Four Corners Arches part, and so it's like that. You're not a travel site.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right,
you want to show. Instantly. So like put happy people there and just put a line that says okay.
She's making me feel kind of smart because I literally just figured out how to make my photo for the first time round on my LinkedIn.
Nice.
And then I went through a couple of images and I was like, I found beautiful Phoenix landscape. I found the bridge. And I love that bridge going over there early in the morning. It's so beautiful, lit up, Tempe, right here. And I finally found something. And it's just like what I do. I build momentum. That's what I do for companies, for ChatDrive, for anyone that I've worked with. And so I found something that said that. Moment, so I'm feeling all smart over here.
Yeah. Another industry.
I found my way.
Yeah, another industry.
So I'm not going to have her call me up and look it up and go, Terrace, what'd you do?
Anything that like massage therapy or a spa or something, they'll put a picture of a very calm lake or something like that. It's like, well, you're not selling reservations to the Lake Lodge, okay?
Right.
Okay. Really good point.
So you want to show, if you're a massage therapist, you want to show yourself with your hands on a patient massaging them. That is what you do.
Show what you're doing.
Exactly.
Exactly. I've seen a lot of like realtors and commercial real estate, but they always have a picture of themselves. And that's another thing that, what would you say about that? Because, I mean, I'm not a realtor, but I don't need to look at that.
Me either, but this is a good subject.
That's kind
I
of
like
the
this.
same thing with the financial planners because they're selling themselves.
Yeah, that's
so
hard.
in a sense that they do that, so it depends. So if they're working, most all of them work through a broker who's connected with one of the larger companies, so whatever the main company is, that would be because that helps you with the reputation, by putting the company logo on there. And then you can put yourself in front of a house.
Yeah.
Showing a house. And so then that's something, I can help you find your next home.
Because I think my face is going to scare more people.
Dang it, because when we post this, your picture's going to be next to it.
Oh, no. Someone else's picture's going to be.
That's so interesting. Yeah. But it makes sense.
That's really powerful.
Show what
she's saying, I don't mean it to make a joke about that at all. Finish that with laughing, but that's very powerful what you're saying. I'm sitting here eyes wide open like, this is making a lot of sense.
Right. No, it absolutely does. And I love Darcy, you're like, hey, I think I'm doing this well.
I think I figured it just like the other day, too.
You didn't even need the 15-minute free consult.
Believe me, I tripped around long enough. I needed it.
I love that. So, Giselle, what's the hardest part with your job and your role? Essentially, is telling companies what they're doing wrong, right? And how to improve.
Right.
So, what's the hardest part of that process with working with companies? I mean, because I don't think I'd want to be.
It's interesting because when I'm working on a project, I'll usually do something and then send it to them for approval. It's waiting for them to give me the approval back. Right now I'm finishing on somebody's website, and I said, he goes, we need to schedule an hour call, so that we can review the website. Tell me what you need changed, if I'm missing anything, or what you want added, or if you want a different look. And I emailed him a week and a half ago, and he still hasn't booked it.
So you're the one.
There's a lot of collaboration goes on there. Same as what we do. It's very, very
team, basically.
It's very, very collaborative.
And if I'm redoing your banner or something, I send it to you for approval. Just turn it around so I can finish your project. Don't wait 2 weeks. And it's like, and it's happened. It's happened. Sometimes there was one company, and I tried to follow up with him, but he didn't return my call. I'll call you back, and he didn't return my call. I did a whole plan for him. I discovered as I was doing research for him that he's got more competition than he realized. Because I did his marketing plan, and one of the things that I do, which I asked you, like, who are you up against? Who's your competition? And you say, well, there's some big guys out there, but they're all, you said that they're all software first.
They lead with software.
Yeah, they lead with software rather than leading with people. And it's like, okay, well, that's your unique selling proposition. Okay. So this guy had a faith-based clothing company. Okay, so I go, and he had one design up on his page. And so I'm like, okay. And then as soon as I started.
That's it? Do they only make one thing?
No, they have more.
Thinking, right?
And that was the thing. They have more, but they had something having to do with the production. So when I told him, and I met with him back in September, and I gave him the thing. And so then I looked up and okay, who is this guy up against? So he's up against several people, several big ones, so I put in different keywords in Google, and those are the ones that came up. Some of them have really good websites, and they get you in right away with the, download a free coupon to get you on the list.
And the whole thing.
Exactly. And so, and I put it in the plan. These are the guys who you're up against. As I'm sitting on my personal Instagram, just flipping through it.
It's coming through.
I'm getting advertisements for, more competitors of his that I didn't even know existed, but they were advertising on Instagram, so I said, okay, I had to add those in there. And I'm like, part of the strategy, because this is what you're up against. You're going to need to do some paid advertising. I try to help the people to do it organically, not paid. But when you're in a very, very high competitive industry like financial planning, usually anything retail, unless it's really super unique, real estate is another one, you're going to have to do some paid advertising. So you're going to have a marketing budget and an advertising budget at the same time. I don't do that. I usually at that point, I will either teach them how to do it and send them to, Facebook has an excellent program that they'll help you get the best out of their advertising. Or you can go to an agency, and that's another step. I usually tell people, do what I tell you to do for 3 months. Check your analytics. That's a big thing. Analytics.
Big stuff.
And your analytics will tell you what's working and what's not working.
But the organic is the real.
The organic's the key.
That's what we've done.
Yeah.
And we've been able, this is a little secret sauce, can't go into it. But that is where we are really getting the impact.
So what does that mean when you say
organic.
organic? How does that
Non-paid.
Okay.
Non-paid.
But like, what's an example?
You're blogging at least weekly. If you've never blogged on your website before, you should do it at least maybe daily for 2 weeks, 3 to 5 times a week. So that Google will notice you, because Google is looking for the freshest content that's the most relevant to the search phrase that's entered into the search box.
Okay.
So they'll pull up the most recent one that matches most perfectly to that search term, and then they try to where the AI thing comes in, where they try to think what else. What other things you could be looking for. Because are you looking for this instead? And so it's like people who search for this also searched for this, and they'll give you other things. Well, you want to come up in that other one too.
Yeah. I get caught in that for shopping.
But Google is they're smart.
Yeah.
There's some smart people over there. You can't game that system no more.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a very good friend that through law school, he had figured a couple of things out. And this guy was making an extreme amount of money for a law student. He almost dropped out of law school. Kept going. And then all of a sudden, you remember, was it 95, 96 they changed the algorithm? Some 2010. Boom, gone.
2010. And that's where I started.
Guess what happened?
Yeah.
Like within 3 months, he was at zero.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
He sold all his URLs, which he made good money on domains.
That's what,
he did okay with the domains. He had good ones.
Back before the 2010 algorithm change, people used to do keyword stuffing, where they would put all the keywords that were relevant, that were coming up into their industry in a paragraph, either.
Yeah, it almost looked like a privacy notice.
Blank.
It's crazy.
Yeah, usually it was
like 100 words.
It was invisible to the human eye because it was like white text on a white background.
Oh, I've heard about that.
Do you remember these years ago? You'd see all these hashtags. Well, not a hashtag.
They weren't hashtags,
but they're crazy. Like all these words. These words.
I was working in 2010. I was working for before that. I was in 2008. I was working for a trade publication. They had hired an external SEO person, search engine optimization person, and so. I go, let me just, for the heck of it, let me just Google him and see what comes up. So I did that, and our page came up first, but the paragraph that I was reading was so keyword stuff that it was grammatically incorrect. And I showed this to my boss, who was the vice president of the publication. This is what your SEO person is doing this, So and for a trade publication, you can't have bad grammar. And so what happened was when Google changed that, so anybody that used these black hat tactics, and there's a slew of other ones, duplicate content, mirrored sites. I mean, there was a whole slew of different things. So that anybody who used those tactics were flagged. They ended up, they were on the first page of Google. They were on page 30, so then, so this is what we want. So that's really where the whole content
for a
marketing.
length of time too. It's not.
Oh yeah. They had to clean up their act.
It's like months.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I've run across companies that I've helped. They literally have like, we tried so much like outbound stuff that we got blacklisted. I'm like, what?
Oh, geez.
Okay, so I don't work only in the digital world because I'm old. So I have a lot of guerrilla tactics and other things that I do. And so then that's when I help them.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's get past this because it's the only strategy they're employing. They're, employing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so the
stuff is very complex. I've learned a lot about this, and people getting punished and screwing up.
The content that you're putting on your website has to be written for the human reader in natural language.
Yeah, that was a big one. He says it's got to be really relevant, but it's got to be real. So he says the best way to do, at least he mentioned this, like 2,000 word articles.
Right. Those
they have to be extensive
that's
and
called
real.
Cornerstone content.
Okay.
And so, and that, there was a whole thing that started, was it last year, maybe, called Pillar Pages, where you would have this cornerstone content would be the main, like one main article, and then it would stem out to sub articles, but with subtopics.
Okay.
So you would have clusters of topics. So, for instance,
is that how the backlinking gets figured out too?
Yeah,
no?
well, that's interlinking within the site. Backlinks is when you have it linked in another site, like, on my LinkedIn profile, that's a backlink.
Okay.
When I'm on radio, when you do our thing on Radio X, that's going to be a backlink to our site. So those are legitimate backlinks.
Gotcha.
That's like the most powerful way too, right?
Right.
That I recall.
But there's still people out there selling illegitimate backlinks. So, they sell everything.
Oh my gosh.
You can buy
it's
Twitter.
Like somebody, I just saw something on Instagram that said, how does someone have 5,000 followers and they have no followers? I'm like, busted.
I remember I went to talk to a company, and
that's crazy, right?
They had like 1,000 followers on Twitter and only 11 tweets.
What?
Right.
And then it was, we bought them. And I'm like, well, if you look at those people, and anybody can on Twitter, look and see who's following them, those are not your target market. They're either fake accounts or people in the Mideast somewhere.
I didn't realize the whole fake account thing. And then a friend of mine showed me on my Instagram all these people that were trying to follow me. I was like, who are these people? And she's like, dude, they're all fake.
Yeah.
Okay, no idea.
And the thing is that all of the networks will purge these people every so often. But because they're free to set up, they have these bots that go in there and set them up again.
Wow.
I was working with a client who had a health food store and cafe in Tampa, Florida. I don't want to do that. Okay.
I find myself doing the same thing. I can't get really too.
A huge mistake in hiring an external company to set up their social media. So I found that they had like 10,000 fake followers on Twitter, and that was impossible to clean out. And the thing is they were very, very smart, because they were all healthy looking people, and they all had bios with health instructor, trainer, coach, all this stuff like that.
The whole perfect.
And when you looked at
picture,
it was all all bots posting, because everybody had the same posts. I looked at 2 or 3 different ones, and it's the same post, and I go, whoever did this, so then I had to hire another friend of mine who he used to be a hacker, a bad hacker. So now he's an ethical hacker. So
I was just going to say, this is the beauty of all this, is that those people realize that the black hat doesn't serve as well as the white hat.
Yeah.
So they get their skills. Right. I respect them. I understand.
Yeah.
As long as they don't hurt nobody. And then they can move over to the legitimate side of life.
Exactly. So if I find somebody that has that problem who needs to clean up their Twitter, they can wait, and Twitter will eventually clean them out for them.
Giselle's got
but that's wasted money,
right?
But that is a wasted money. I had somebody ask me, I was because I also teach classes, group classes. So I had somebody in one of my classes ask me, well, can I just buy Twitter followers? I'm like, sure you can, and so it'll look good,
sure.
But those people are not your target market. They're not going to retweet your stuff. I remember one company, I had a friend of mine that was working there with her, and I don't think they're in existence anymore, but it was a local online magazine catering to women, probably over 40, women over 40. Okay. So the person they had doing their social media had purchased 25,000 Facebook likes. Ooh. So it looked really impressive when you jumped on their page and they had 25,000 likes. Yeah. Okay. For a local business, that's too much.
Yeah. Like the reality hits you like, how do they have 25,000 people in Tempe?
Or
Mesa.
Yeah. Or even just in Arizona.
Tempe, you got 68,000 people at the campus. Okay,
I could see
but
that.
right. That's why I just caught myself.
Right,
Let's do it in Mesa.
And so then, but the thing is on Facebook, you can actually look at the follower demographic.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
And they're in Russia.
Oh,
or they're over in Czechoslovakia.
Pakistan.
They're so local.
Yeah, right.
And,
Let me give them a call, see what they really
think. They're like 19 years old and male.
How funny.
Okay, and so you could actually see that. So they were 60%, her followers were 60% male and like 60% outside of the country. So these people are not going to share the latest, purse that you're featuring.
Well, and that goes back to, Terrace, what you were saying earlier about we're humans. It's a human connection. Yeah, you can buy these bots and these profiles and blah, blah, blah. But people are going to call your bluff at some point. They're going to see, 25,000 that are not even in this country, that are all male, whatever. But it goes to, putting in that time, putting in that effort, putting in those posts, figuring out the natural, organic way of doing fitting the algorithm.
The truth will set you free.
Yes. We're people.
And make you money.
Yes. And not have all of these
fake
ones.
You gotta put in the work.
And then people will ask me, well, I don't know why I'm not getting, response from people. It's because they're not your target market.
Yeah, because all your people are the Pakistan followers.
Yeah, they're too busy doing other stuff across the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had I talked to this other guy who was, it was another publication, and he was selling advertising. So he was selling the fact that he had 500,000 followers on Twitter. And so, but when I started looking at these people, and it's like, you realize at least 70% of these are fake accounts. And he had to say, well, and I sent him to my neighbor, my former neighbor, who's the ex-hacker guy, to try and clean up his Twitter, but
that's a
Twitter's
lot.
changed it. So it was really hard. And so it's like, and he was telling me, and it's like, listen, and it's like, I can do this, but it's actually going to affect him worse, so it's like the biggest mistake. So I actually told him, you need to start from scratch, but then that's going to affect his whole doing business, because he's selling the fact I've got 500,000 followers on Twitter.
It's his value prop. And now it's done.
Exactly, and now that's
so
gone.
I have an experience to the opposite of that, which is someone innocently having built up an account, and their business, a good part of probably 60% of their business relies on it, and they happen to use a large marquee brand's name just in descriptive of what something was, and that brand, because they got people or whatever crawling at algorithms, grabbed them and said, you can't do that, and shut them down for almost 3 months.
Yeah.
And this is someone I know very well, and that person was just head down in a dark room for like a month. Click, 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 clack, clack, clack.
Wow.
And then reaching out to people directly, and reaching out to as many people as they had actually, because they'd done the honest work. They'd done business. They actually knew the customers and the people connected to them, the referrals, and it was horrible. And
it was just because they had tagged them in it?
They used a name, a marquee, jewelry name.
Oh, okay.
As a descriptor for a color.
Oh.
And it just went haywire.
You have to be careful with that.
This was so sad to see, right?
Yeah, and that's that's part of reputation management and in 2 seconds.
Well, you don't know what you don't know. This is someone, family member, they're very young. Entrepreneurs all around me.
You don't know what you don't know. That's exactly it.
And just fighting so hard to do the right thing, and really just grinded it out, and went to sticking to the things that I say, which is do it truthfully and real.
Yeah, the other thing,
and
a lot of
everything
people
will turn
caught,
out. You just gotta budget the time. Give yourself a couple years.
Yeah,
don't think it's going to be built in a day.
Yeah, another big thing that people don't realize that they're doing is when they're using graphics they find online without licensing. And without permission from the photographer, without tagging the photographer, or saying this is a photographer, this is where I got the graphic from. I've had
I better check my picture.
I've had clients that have been sued by photographers. Some were able to negotiate it down to like $250. Another one had to pay $5,000 because they had used it without, and
if I didn't take it on my camera,
the value, and they can prove the value of that image very directly.
Yeah,
how much they've sold, where they've sold it, and really put a number on it.
Yeah,
right.
That's scary.
Right, but there are several websites where you can find license-free to use pictures.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Pixabay is one of them. That's my favorite one. Is
That's
Pixabay.
a good one.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, so you can search in there for any type of picture, and you know, and then use them without problems.
If I didn't take it on my phone, my camera, it's not getting used.
Right.
So with this timing, I told you guys it was going to go fast.
Yeah,
my Puerto Rican New Yorkers here, we could go all day. But there's a couple of things I want to hit as we wrap up. So the first thing is I want to give each of you a minute to kind of, you know, wrap up any last points you want to make, any last, you know, plug about the company or anything like that. And then what is your advice for maybe that young, new startup entrepreneur, you know, that target audience that we kind of keep talking about for both of your companies? Mm-hmm. What would be that last bit of advice that you would give to them? Mm-hmm. So Giselle, I'll start with you because I want you to have the chance to talk about your book coming out too.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, you know, January of last year, I decided I'm going to write a book. And so I gave myself to the end of 2019 to do it. And that's exactly when I finished it.
Nice.
Because I've been blogging since I started my business. And yes, the one of the challenges that I find is that the social networks change so often. They'll add features, they'll remove features, they'll move stuff around. So doing a how-to book really didn't work. So I decided to do a strategies book. So my book is called The Blueprint, is strategies, effective strategies for digital marketing. Okay. So what I did was I took the outline that I use for my clients in a marketing plan, and I put in all of the blogs that I've written, all of the classes that I've given, all of the videos that I've done, all the text of that, and I put it into the book in that outline. So it starts with, this is where you need to start. You need to start with, and this will answer the question for the startup. Who's your target market and what's your value proposition?
Target market, value proposition.
Then you got to research that target. And it's just the target, but also the industry. You know, my book explains everything all the way down to, okay, then you have the content marketing strategies. Yep. Okay, so you can do blogs, you can do pictures, you can do infographics, you can do videos. You can do podcasts. Yeah. Hey, podcasting is like the greatest thing ever, and it's so easy to do.
Yeah, they could come to us, and then we do all the work for them, and they just come in and chat.
That's it. You know, and then the social media strategy. So, and I include everybody in there. If you're B2C, if you're B2B, if you're trying to reach the young people or the old people, whoever you're trying to reach, there's different strategies in the networks, you know,
gotcha.
and then everywhere I put, okay, if you need to learn specifically how to do these things, we can do one-on-one sessions.
Awesome.
Cause that's what I like doing. And that's the best way to do it, because the classroom sessions are okay, but it's very generic. So,
it needs to be a personal experience.
Yeah. So I'll teach, you know, so I've been teaching classes for various organizations in the Valley, and I'll have everybody from e-commerce to local brick and mortars. And those are two different ways to market. And then B2C to B2B, those are also two different ways to market. So I'm speaking generically at these things, and I'll say, well, if you're B2B, you do this. If you're B2C, you do that. But given one-on-one session, you get more specific on, well, this is what you should be doing, and this is what works for that industry.
Awesome. Well, congrats on the book. Tell us the name again.
It's The Blueprint.
The Blueprint. And where can people find it?
It's on my website right now. Yeah. Cool. I'm hoping eventually in a few months to actually get it published, so it would be available on Amazon.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you can visit my website, azsocialmediawiz.com.
Awesome. And is that the best way for people to reach you, or LinkedIn? Or
well, either way, LinkedIn also, but my website is there. They can actually go and schedule a free 15-minute phone consultation, and I'll review their website and their, you know, whatever they're doing, and even if you don't have anything yet, you know, in fact tomorrow I have a call schedule with somebody who's just starting. Okay. You know, so, and that they're doing it right.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get it right. And a lot of times people try to do it themselves, and they think, okay, I can't do that. I'm going in the wrong direction. And then
if you start ahead, then you don't have to fix a bunch of stuff later.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Start fresh, start clean, get somebody that's a professional to help you, and then go from there. So
exactly.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Terrace, what about you? Tell us any last minute things about the company, any last minute, points that you want to make, and then what your advice would be for maybe a startup or an entrepreneur, or maybe just a new company that's reaching out to you guys.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is just, can you hear me okay? Because I can't hear myself as well.
You're good.
You turned my mic down. I can tell I was yelling. I was trying to do my DJ voice.
Don't tell him.
Yeah. Right. So what I would just go with, just talking what the real takeaway would be about ChatDrive, what it is, and just state that we provide that constant attention and a personal touch to initial engagement and nurture people to take that next step. Now, what makes it powerful is that these folks are dealing with someone who is there, real. I'm trying to come up with another way to state this, because 5 years ago we started saying staffed chat, and now it's there. They're using that, but it's not really the people there. So human present chat is the best I can come up with at the moment. But this is very important to just keep mind of, is that we collaborate with these organizations to elevate their personal touch and engagement sincerity. That is where we really, truly make that impact. And, the reason is so you can feel safe and secure knowing that a real person is applying that human touch. This person is trained and versed in their brand. We don't aggregate and that sort of thing. We don't engage in, gen and things of this sort. Someone's at the helm 24/7, so you can focus on those core competencies and really have a reliable solution you can count on. It becomes a way to maximize your entire marketing spend. And it takes a person to do what we want it to do. We cater those services. That's really what I want to just, leave with mostly. I mean, there's a whole lot of other things I could kind of go into, of course, but that's to keep it brief and more to the point. And for someone who's starting, I would advise that you use a source like YouTube, and you really have no shortcut. There's all kinds of motivational memes and all that sort of thing, and it's great. But, think this through for a minute. Everyone that you've seen and that you have seen, and even people that have had great success, take a look at how long they've really been at it. And it's probably not the best one, but I look at Justin Bieber. Everybody's like, oh, young kid, got all that kid was starting things when he was 2 years old. These people have put in that work. So my advice is buckle up.
Yeah.
And make a plan. Get serious about it. There's a lot of people that they feel that they want to escape to something different. And I have done a lot of things in my life, and I've attained an amazing amount of experience, which helps me work with my clients, because I understand many business models and many things that can be done. And I cross-pollinate from 7 different industries that I've been in. But most important is just that, make that plan. And I know that you might be wanting to look at something different or start something while you're making a living. You got to literally put that time aside. Literally say, okay, for these 2 hours, this is all I'm doing, and plan like what you're going to do. Right. But YouTube, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Everything you want to know is on YouTube.
I love that.
My wife will walk in and I'm like, what are you doing on YouTube again? I'm like, I'm learning about XYZ. Really? You want me to fix that thing, right?
Yeah. Everything to do on my car, essentially.
Yeah.
So before we leave, Terrace, tell us how people can get a hold of you if they want to reach you.
Oh, so it's chatdrive.com, ChatDrive, like chat and drive is one word. ChatDrive.com.
Awesome.
You can contact me directly. You can look me up on LinkedIn. It's J.Terrace Figueroa. So I guess you'll post something.
You have a round picture. I saw it.
Yeah,
on
round
your LinkedIn.
picture. Yeah. I better check that in. It's kind of a nice one.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you to both of you.
Thanks for the invite.
My creative Puerto Rican New Yorkers.
So much fun.
It has been great to have you guys here. I'm sure we'll be able to finish up some of our conversation before you guys leave when we go off air. But for now, you've been listening to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from within the Mac 6 and Conscious Capitalism Arizona Business Radio X studio. Some media leans left, some leans right. Today we lean a little bit of business, Puerto Rican, New Yorker, branding, creativeness, a little bit of everything, but mostly we lean business. Until next time, this is Kendra. Thanks for listening.